Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo and part 3 of the great magazine Chop and Flop, or hashtag magchopandflop if you would like to participate with me. So in the last video, we went ahead and we sort of prepared all of the magazine parts, right? We've backed them, we've cut them, we've done all of that. Now it's time to get a start on the cover. I had previously like a white handkerchief, but I decided because I used a handkerchief on the other book, which I'll give you a little preview of right now. This is what we're going to end up with. I used a handkerchief on this book, so I thought I would use instead like a doily for, you know, a different kind of look. So yes, we have this all bound and ready to go. So today what we're going to do is we're going to make the cover, and we're going to talk about the flippy floppy pages that will be a part of this book and building it, as well as I'll show you the theme sort of that I've chosen for this book. So where the last one was like a garden theme, because that's what the magazine mostly focused on, this one is more of an art theme. So I've chosen Vicki Boutin papers. Her color study papers are really perfect for this. They have lots of lovely rainbows and, you know, very artsy, beautiful paper. So this is color study from Vicki Boutin for American Crafts, and this one is from Sweet Rush, which is another of her collection. So is this one, and then that one as well. So yeah, I've got all those, and in total there are 8 scrapbook papers, because we are going to make a 4 signature journal, 2 pieces of scrapbook paper in each signature. These are going to be the kind of housing for the flippy floppy and pockety bit of this book. Okay, so first though, we need to build our journal cover. So for the cover outside, I've chosen this was actually a fabric by Inukchik. It's an Inuk woman design, and you'll see like there's all of these figures that have these packs and have babies on them. I just like that it's like a drawn figure, right? There's drawn figures. So then I painted with acrylic paint all of these swatches on top in kind of a pastel feel. So that being said, we are going to start with an envelope as our cover. So this is, I don't know, let me measure it, the size of this envelope. So it's 12 by almost 9, not quite 9. So what I'm going to do with this is going to be the basis for our book. I am going to just give it a quick fold in half to find the center. Okay, and it doesn't have to be bone folded, because we don't want really this to be like the folded part completely. I'm going to use my ruler now and put that line in the center of my ruler. Sorry for the break, that was a little kid interruption there. Anyways, so we take the center, and maybe what I'll do so that it's more visible is just, you know, where the fold is, just draw a little line there so that you can see. Then take the center of your ruler, which usually there's a little line above like the whole, or at this end you'll see in the center they do put a center line usually. So just lay it down, and then bring up your edge. Just kind of press it against the ruler while it's still held in place, and then do the same thing on this side. And then you've got your spine. Okay, you've got about a 1.5 inch spine, I believe. Yeah, just about 1.5. Okay, so what I'll do now is grab my bone folder, and I will just line up my edge perfectly here. so that I know that this line is straight. And then the same on this side. Just got to re-establish like the folds that are your primary folds from that center fold. There we go. So now you've got your two sort of stronger folds, and this one in the middle, it's fine because actually it's going to create a little bit of sort of a slight roundness to your spine, which is really nice. Then what I'm going to do is get a spine for this book. I don't know if I may already have. Yeah, I do. Okay, so this is just like a chipboard, but this one is from an old photo album, and it's the leftover that I used on the other book. So I'm going to use this as my lining spine, and I know from the last time that I did this, I do need to cut it down just a little tiny bit right there. Okay, so then I'm just going to take glue stick and glue it on. Doesn't need to be like super glued because everything on this book's going to be stitched in, and glue stick will work perfectly for this. Okay. Just make sure it's in there, in your between your lines, centered as best you can. There we go. Okay. So now it's time to put the front of the book on. So we'll flip this over to the good side, or the bad side, sorry, the back side. And we're going to lay down our good side here on the front. Then I'm going to cut just beneath it by about 1 inch. And then we'll come up here and do the same. So this will be now the outside of our journal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch all the way around here, and then also right down the spine on both of the edges on top of this spine. So I'll do that and come right back. Okay, so now I've stitched all the way around, see, and then just on the spine itself I've gone up here and then back down. And here's how the back looks now. I've got pink thread in my bobbin and like a dark teal thread in my my actual thread. So I'm just going to come in and trim all of these threads. Okay. Just a couple extra threads because I backstitch everything to make sure it's secure. Right, so it doesn't have to be super perfect, just getting the long stitches off. Now what I recommend is coming in and just using a fabric scissor. Just leave about 1/4 inch around the edge and trim the rest off, because this will be your size guide now for your backing fabric as well. Okay. These are nice little scraps to keep in, you know, your fabric scrap bin if you have one. Okay, so now we want to add the second bit of the decoration for the cover, which is the doily. Now I need to just review if this is a little too big. I may honestly either cut it or go back to using the hanky, because I don't want to cover like all of the cover with this, really, although it is beautiful. Yeah, give me 1 minute. I think I will get something a little different for this, but here's how it would look if I use that doily, right? So 1 moment. Okay, so I just dug around for another doily, but it's smaller, and it has embroidered daffodils and little roses, and it says the word scones on it, but I don't want scones, so I just kind of dug through the things from the magazine because I want to use some kind of a picture like I did on the front of the other one. 1 moment, let me grab it so I can show you. So this one, you know, we use this botanical image. For this one, I think, though, I'm going to use this because the colors are perfect. She's doing some stitching. It falls into theme, right, with what we're trying to do here. So what I'm going to do now is go over to the sewing machine. First, I will stitch this on, and then I will stitch that on as well, and then I will come back. So this is all stitched on now, and I just trimmed the thread. So we stitched around, and then we have this as our cover, and you can see on the inside the stitching. So now what I think I will do is I'm just going to again measure the journal to see how big my pages can be. So they can be I would say 8 3/4 by 5 8 3/4 by 5. So let's get started now cutting down the scrapbook papers that will house all the flips and flaps and flops here. I said 9 1/4, right? By 5. Let me double check. Where's it? 9 3/4. Or no, 8 3/4. Okay. So actually, before I get the chopper out, we'll fold them first. So just fold all the scrapbook papers in half and get them all the right direction and the right way that you want them facing. I'm using double-sided papers, but you don't have to. You can also decorate the back side of your paper with oxides and, you know, paint and whatever you want. Or just leave them white. You're allowed to do that too. And we will have some nice scrap leftovers here that we can also use for creating pockets in this book. Okay. So what I like to do, the first thing I always do is I just cut the brand strip off because I don't want to deal with the brand strips. Then from, you know, looking at both sides of your paper, decide which edge to cut down to 8 3/4 or whatever size your book is by 5. 1. Now, the other thing that we can do, and what I did with the other pages, I totally forgot a step. So hold on, hold your horses, hold my horses. Just make a little nick at your 8 3/4. Don't cut your paper off. I just remembered I'm doing this in these books. So now we're going to use this as a fold up. That's a free pocket right there, right? You don't need to get another paper to create that pocket. There we go. Now You can also decide what side you want that on. But I'm just going to go back here again and just refold this so I can now cut down this side to 5. Okay. So that'll be your scrap. Then you go ahead and fold. And I think I want the rainbow side to be what gets kept here. So this will end up like this. Just gonna straighten it out. That's better. Okay. So when we go to make the journal, we're going to glue up the 2 sides to create these pockets, but I won't do it yet. So for this one, I forgot to do that, which is okay. But I think what I'll do is I'll now cut that down to 5, and we'll keep these together. And I will just, actually, maybe I'll just glue it in now. Why wait? Because we're going to have to do it anyhow. So let's just glue this in real quick. Down at the bottom first. My glue is plugged up. Oh, this art glitter glue bottle. It's just been bugging me lately. I don't know. Probably need to clean it out again. There it goes. Okay. Keep those beauteous clouds as the pocket. There we go. And then fold that over again. So now we have 2. I always forget some step like that when I'm doing a tutorial. I think I concentrate better when I'm just making, like on my own. I don't know why. Okay, so again with this, let's just go over here. Cut that down to 5. Take a look at both sides, and this is the right side up, so I'm going to go to 8 3/4, make a little nick, just to give me a marking spot where I'm going to fold, and then decide how you want your fold. Do you want it this way? This way. I'm going to go that way because I like the rainbowy circles. They're fun. I'll leave that pocket on the outside. You could also choose to have it on the inside, right? So lots of options. Okay. And definitely, like when you're doing this, come in, you know, with your bone folder before you do your gluing to just get a nice, good flat piece. Okay. And this one's got that beautiful bit on the inside. So I think I want it to go this way. So first we'll cut the 5. And this one I could see as my inner folio. So I think I will keep my 8 3/4 pocket that I'll fold this way. And I think that I may make this like a center folio. Yeah. And again, 5 inches here. Eight 3/4, little tick there. Do the pocket on the inside of this one. I like to kind of break up these pockets on inside versus outside. Cut that little bit of extra off there. find sometimes 12 by 12, like on this chopper, it doesn't get all the way to the bottom, but it's mostly good. I can't complain, it's a good cutter. I'm going to bring this pocket up this way. Two to go. All right. And then the last one, beautiful rainbow. Okay, and how do I want to do this? I think I actually want to turn it this way so I get more of the rainbow staying on the page. 8 3/4. Because I only use I lose like the orange and yellow bit, not this whole thing, to a pocket. So I want that on the front. Oops. Okay. There we go. So now, get this out of the way. And then we can kind of get these scrappy bits here. Now these might be useful. I usually just get rid of the branding strips unless you like to use like the little bits. I mean, I might because these are particularly nice papers. So I just kind of put them in with all of my magazine bits because I might use them as scraps to do more with. Okay, so let me show you a few examples of the folios that we're going to create together using these papers, but with some other papers for other folios that I've already created. I've got 4 examples here, I think, or maybe even more. I made a few extra of these because my concept when I'm making these journals is I'm not just going to use a whole magazine in one journal. I want to split it up with my own ephemera so that I can like make a few of them, but also it kind of mixes up the content of the journal. So this first folio, we see we start with just a yellow scrapbook paper page. It's white on back. This is a seed packet that I made. You flip it up, and inside, this was an image from the magazine. I added a little card there and layered some other papers in behind. And so that goes in here. Okay, so on all of the faces of the papers, the scrapbook papers in these books, all of them are going to be decorated on both sides. Here we have a pocket, that's from a book, and then this tag is also from a book. So on, face 1, we have a flip up and a pocket. Face 2, we have just a pocket. You could also have a flip. This is from a very old book, journal card. And then here's our flip here. This is a cabinet card from my collection, and I added one of the little seed packets from the magazine. Flip it out. I used some of the scrapbook paper to create that nice little hatch there. A label made from the magazine, and this was from a children's book. It's just a big tag. And then on face 4, we have a flip up. We have one of those seed packet drawers from the other magazine, and then a little seed packet journal card. And then this was a different piece that I made from my ephemera box. It is made with encaustic painting, and it says A Fairy Tale of Home. So in this one alone, we have 1, 2, 3 flips, okay, and 4 pockets. So all you're going to be concentrating on with these papers, as well as with the magazine things you've cut out, is creating 2 things: flips and flaps and pockets. Don't worry about the ephemera that you're going to put in. If you don't have enough things that you harvested from your magazine, you have options. Use your other ephemera that you have. Use vintage ephemera, handmade ephemera, cut up another magazine. You'll find overall, like, your journal will be more fun if you don't just use the magazine, right? Like, although just using the magazine is also fun, like, it's totally up to you. So for this one, you'll see that this is from that hatching I used in here, same paper. This is one of my, if you watched my wax with me video, this is one of the papers created from that. So I created a flip. This is the first face of the paper. Maybe I'll open it up for you here. So we have this flip. I have another flip I created from a hand-painted envelope that I made. Open that up there. So 2 flips on 1 page. I'm going to close it so it's easier for me to open. And then in here I have a journal card. This is from my Journal Together kit from, I think, last month. This is also a coffee dyed envelope, as well as being hand painted. And then here we have another of those seed boxes with another little seed packet journal card. And then this is ants from like a children's book, a big, because this is a garden themed folio. So that flips closed. Open it up. Label from the cover of the magazine. This paper here was in my scrap bin. It's actually the same paper as some of the same paper as what I'll be using in the art one that we're making. These little houses are cut from an old book. These were cut from the magazine that I used. Journal card 1 and journal card 2. So then that goes in here. This is a label from the magazine. This was a catnip seed packet from the magazine, and a little label that I used with my punch. Remember, we punched out all the colorful papers. Then this is a little flocked journal card from a very old children's book. And over here we have a pocket, and this is, you see the wax paper hinged behind it, and this is an open up kind of journal, double journal card, and that just goes right on in there. And so for this one, we've got 2 flips. Now this one, we have, this is a flip, okay, and I've used some hand-dyed paper. On the front of the flip, there's an upper tuck pocket, and I've coffee sprayed this printout of a cabinet card from my collection, and then this is a little snip from the magazine, and that goes here. It also matches this pocket that was cut from the magazine. This is the paper I used for this flip. This is an envelope from one of my Journal Together kits, these birds. And then inside is just this little journal card cut, also from the book, or the magazine rather. So that's face 1, faces 2 and 3. We have a flip up and a cabinet card that I used as a flip out, an authentic one. I left all the goodness on the back there. And then, you know, those bottom pockets we just made, these are both from the magazine. A little yarrow seed packet cutout, and then a little label here. This is one of my stitched together trapped shaker cards with a bird from old paper. Has some sequins in there. And then this is a fun painty paper, you know, bird looking into a mirror with a label, a little file journal card. So flips down and flips back over. And the back face has a flip up and a little side pocket from the magazine, both of these. And then I put just a little greeting card by Martin Winscombe in here because it goes nicely with that garden theme. Okay, and then the last one, we have a flip up made from the book. like that. I've got dyed paper there. I left this beautiful paper alone because it's really nice and easy to write on. You can also create more flips, you know, just loads of them. But I didn't want to make it too overwhelming because I know sometimes visually flips, when there's a lot of them in a book, like it's hard to know what's happening when you watch flip throughs. And as enchanting it is, I wanted this to be a little more kind of instructional, so you could see how to create flips. Once you know how, right, by creating these hinges, you can put them anywhere, at the top, the side, the bottom, you know, inside here, going that way, like whatever way you want. You can also easily use envelopes for this. Some people make flip-flop journals entirely from envelopes. There's so many ways to do this. So then down here I used quilted and this Cosmos seed packet on one of those tip-up pockets, and then this is another seed packet that I used as a tip out. So we have two here, and then in both of these I've made big collage tags with vintage stamps and painting and all sorts of stuff. And then we flip back over, we have another flip here from the magazine. So that is kind of some options. Okay, so let's get started on what we're going to do. But maybe I'll show you, because I've shown you my examples. Let me show you the first signature of this journal, okay, because I think that will help you understand how this looks once in a journal. Okay, so we have a flip and a journal card and a feed sack label. Then over here we have a cutout journal card. There's one of those tip up envelopes and a flip up. And that just kind of holds that down. So then we have paper, 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 3 papers in between. Flip out, tuck spot, tag, flip up, pocket, tag, and then paper, paper, little fun thing for the center, paper, paper, flip out, one of those little seed boxes with the seed journal card, little journal card, flip back in, and over here belly band on this one with a large journal card, then paper, paper, paper. There's the tuck up pocket with a large tag. Obviously I could have put a tip in coming in, or you flip up, whatever. And then this radish packet here is a flip out. Here's another flip on the page that goes the other way, and I've done some decorative hinging with the scrapbook paper. Okay, so there's your first example, and then we move into the second signature. So that is what we're looking to do with these papers. So let's kind of get a start on doing one folio for this video. Okay, I'll just pick from random here. I'll say this. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to close up this pocket. You can also decide if you want thumb holes by using a punch, a circle punch. You can create a thumb hole, right, by going in the center like that. And that just can sometimes make it easier for people to pull things out of the pocket. So I will now glue up the sides of this flip up pocket so that we can glue that down. I just need to straighten it a little bit there. Okay, that's better. So now that's closed. Okay, so like I said, what we're focusing on now is just really 2 things: creating the flip-flops and creating pockets. So let's get our magazine goodies here. Pull this out. I'll just set this over here. So we can start to look at this. Now this I know is really cool, and it's like a flip, you know, kind of a tip out, and we said we could bend it like that, and then we'd have the wing bend, but I'm not really into it for this color palette, right? So we'll set that aside. This I want to use as a folio, so you can also kind of plan once you're done your folio. You can put this with it if you want these to go together. Like if you wanted this to go here, just kind of keep it to the side. I think I will do that for this one. So now we can kind of think about pockets. Do I like this kind of a pocket on here? Yeah, that could be kind of cool, but I need to trim it down a little. Where did my scissors go? Oh, the things that get misplaced in the studio. There they are. Okay, so I'm just going to do that by doing a little snip like that. So we will glue this one down. And sometimes it's easier to do your pockets first, but you don't have to. So there's one pocket. Then on the other side, I want a different kind of pocket, maybe like this. That would be kind of cool. And actually, I might do it on the inside, like this way. Yeah. Okay. The other thing you can now do too is you can add decoration to your pockets. If you want to put something here, like I like how that looks. Okay. Then, you know, to zhuzh things up a little more, I might look for some kind of fun gain reputations as hooligans. That's kind of cool, actually. Let's go with that. Art hooligans. This one on the back, though, it says something strange. Now let's go with the hooligans. I kind of love the idea of being an art hooligan. There we go. And then over here, same kind of thing. You know, if you want to come in with like a little label, maybe one of your punch outs, you can put it there. That would look kind of cute. I got my glue book. I don't need to be gluing everything with art glitter glue here. It's kind of a little much. It's better. Okay. So the same is true for decorating these pockets. I like to put a little something on them, and I go for my little things like this. I'm going to go ahead and glue that one on. And you can even make that like a little tuck spot for something else, right? So if you want to do that, just glue it this way. So now you've got a decoration and a little mini tuck spot. And then, you know, also you can pull things like from your scraps. Like I've got this little bit of like fun book spine that kind of goes with it. I might just put it here because like it looks cool. So like just really take the time to enjoy making each one of the folios that you make, because the more time you kind of put into them and plug away at them, first of all, you're going to have fun crafting and making art. And also, like, at the end of it all, you're going to have an even more detailed, interesting kind of piece, right? So you can take your time on things like this. This is like a little thimble. I kind of like that, but it needs a little inking around the edges. Little wood spool illustration. Okay, so that's there. So now we need the flips, the flops. So now we start looking for kind of the bigger things that I have that I've cut out, like slightly bigger pieces that would be good for that. Let's see, like this. Okay, so I like that with this very much. It's upside down, very much. So let's begin with that, okay? So here's an example of what I like to use for hinges. This is just a scrap of dyed paper. I'm going to fold it up, cut it, And I want enough paper that I can stick down on both the paper I'm attaching to and the paper that I'm going to have on here. So there should be kind of an equal nice distance like that of about a 1/4 inch or a little more. So I tend to just saturate this bit with glue from the glue stick. And just pick it up, get rid of the glue paper. And then go to the side that you're connecting. Glue your first connection on here, side 1. And then come over here and glue on side 2. Leave a slight little distance, okay? Just a little tiny, let me show you. Do you see this little tiny distance there? It's just like a tiny bit. Why? Because it's going to give you a clean fold when you come in. Now, you see how you can see a tiny bit of that? That's where I want to come down with my finger and just smooth that down. There will be a tiny bit of glue on there that's going to wear away as you smooth it right down with your finger. So now you've just really locked in all that glue on that whole space. You can also add washi tape. Personally, this is very strong to me, and I think I like it as is. Now, one thing I forgot to do that I like to do with the flips, because I feel like a lot of edges in a journal like this, it's like you can poke yourself. So I like to round the inner edges. That being said, you don't have to. Probably if your book is sitting down flat when you're writing, you're not going to come in with your wrist and poke yourself, but I am less coordinated than some. So there's a good possibility I will still do that. So now let's look for another fun thing that can be a flip or a flap. That might be nice up top with the red. Or potentially that. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Okay, so let's make this the next one. So again, I will this time remember to round these 1 and 2. And just kind of lay the piece like this. Also, when you're doing the flips and flaps, you can decide what side you want the paper to be on. Like maybe you really don't like that I put this here and you think it should have gone over here, for sure do that. Also, if you really don't like that this covers a piece of the pocket, that's fine. Do the pocket on top, do your flaps first. I'm not so picky. I think because all the papers I'm using are nice, it doesn't stress me out. It just doesn't. And I like to use some kind of a fun, interesting paper if I can for the flips. Like, don't use anything that won't easily glue down though. Nothing too thick. Nothing like scrapbook paper that could fold like later, unless you use art glitter glue. Then it will really still stay down even if it is scrapbook paper, right? Yeah. So do that. Made that a little too long still. That's okay. All right, get rid of this glue paper. And then you come in, and this is where you really you train the paper how you're going to want it to be. Right? And I'm actually not mad about that little bit that hangs over. It kind of adds a shaggy little nice detail there. It's almost like it meant to be there. So that's that one. That's on there. Okay. And then I think what I'd like to do with this to just kind of again add something is look into my little bits here and see if I have anything interesting that might be good to use. Make a little label with that if we want. So let me show that to you. how do we make something interesting from this little scrap? Well, cut the 4 corners off of it to turn it into the shape of a label. No need to like be super matchy. Then come in with ink and you know, just give it a little outline with some distress ink, like so. And because this is a scrapbook paper, I think I'm gonna just quickly go art glitter glue. And you've got this little label. And you could choose to put a word snippet on it or just leave it be, because you might want to write something on there, like, you know, the date or whatever. And then you'll put your entry for the day in here. So there's 2 flips and flaps. Do we want another one that comes onto this page? Maybe from this side. Whoops. Like so. Just so we're really like loading this up, right? Because maybe you thought like, that's not much of a flip flap journal, Cindy, with the one that I created, because I didn't go, you know, too crazy with it. So let's create a more flip floppy one than what I did with the last one. So you can see kind of the more extreme version. I've done lap books. If you search my channel, probably find my lap books. So I'm just grabbing a scrap here. And those lap books had like huge amounts of flips and flaps because I used a really large book, and there's a lot of space to create. Sort of like, if you imagine this is, you know, say 3 times the size, right? You can create a flip here, you know, like you can do more dynamic things with larger books. And this might be something that you might want to apply. Maybe you want to make a lap book. You've been thinking about making a lap book for, like, you know, your planning, or you like the larger kind of more scrapbook feel, like a Victorian scrapbook, or even your standard 12 by 12 kind of scrapbooking scrapbook, you know. There's lots of options. So don't feel locked into what I'm showing you with this small. I wanted to just do kind of a traveler's notebook size set of a couple of these because they're fun. It's fun to work in this size. So now, you know, we have a more complex page here, but you'll see doing this, it's like still easy. So you just come in, move that out of the way, and you're focusing on, where do I want this to sit ultimately? So just put it down, make sure it stays within the confines of the flips and the pages. It's not going to get in the way. Bring it down. And then one thing I forgot to do was that gap. Let's fix that now. Fix that gap. You need the gap there, or else what happens is the edge of this paper collides with the flat paper when you flip it. See, like that flips very easily because it has that little bit of space that it can use to kind of, you know, breathe. It's not right flat against the paper. So there's another nice little flip. Now on the back of the flips and flaps, you know, your organization or your opportunity for decoration is also there, as well as the creation of, yes, more pockets. So with something like this, I take a little scrap, right? Then, because I've rounded the bottom on that edge, I would also round the bottom on that edge, and it's like this little scoop kind of pocket. So I will then ink, and you obviously can ink the back sides of all your flaps too. Totally up to you. I'm just saving a little time because I'm, you know, filming here. Okay. So now you've got a nice little tuck pocket that you can take another bit of your magazine, and just like that, you've got a journal card in there, right? So I'll leave that one in there just because. So you can definitely do that. You can just decorate them with labels if you want to. Also totally fine. So I would say this side is doing what I want. I don't feel like I need a lot more. So now over here, I've got the pockets, but I don't have any flips and flaps, and I want some. I want at least one, and I like that a lot. So I'm going to round the corners at the bottom. Oops. find myself a scrap to use. Okay. This is such a pretty scrap. I think I'll use the whole thing, including the holes. So just glue down and run the glue stick right on over the holes. Just line them up here. That little gap, don't forget the little gap. Okay. Pull it over, give it a little tug to straighten it out and to get that little visible bit of paper right there. Okay, so now we have this. And for this one, this side, that could be kind of cool. Do I want to do it over here or over here? I think I like it on that side, so let's get another scrap. Scrap has to be the same roughly size as your piece. This one I'll thin down a little because I don't want it to be as wide. Just because I don't want to impact the writing space on back. Oops. Okay. And then fold over. Again, a little tug. And then when you go to put ephemera in here, oh, this one I just want to maybe do a little snip and a little snip, just to give it a different shape. When you put ephemera in here, you know, you can decide, do I want this on top to hold that down, or do I want it underneath to be hidden? I don't want people to see what's back there. And you have writing space here. So that's a pretty flippy floppy piece, right? So, you know, also you can add an upper flip here. Remember, we also have this little tuck spot here. So lots going on this folio, but a pretty simple folio. You also could put another flip on this side, even though there's a flip on that side, because you're hinging it the other way to that side. Or maybe you're hinging it with washi tape and you want it to show up there. Totally a million options. You could literally do like 3 to 4 flips on every single page if you want to. This is also a great way to use up envelopes that are in your stash. If you have like little envelopes and things, very fast because they already have a flap, right? Sorry, I had to change my battery. But anyways, as I was saying, you can add as many flips and flaps as you like to this. You could have literally like top, side, even a bottom. If you wanted to have a bottom flip, you know, from the bottom, by all means. So that being said, I'm going to call this one done for me, and then I'm going to pair it with this because these are going to live in the same folio. Signature, these two folios. Obviously there'll be papers in between them, but you want 2 of these for every folio that you're going to, or signature that you're going to create in your book. And then in between them, you're going to stick papers, like, you know, for writing essentially. You know, unless you want an entirely flip-flop journal and you make all your pages like that. Now, one thing to consider, right, if if you're doing that, is that these are bulky, right? Especially once you get all the ephemera in them. So here's the bulk of just 4 of those stuffed with ephemera, and these aren't like super flip floppy. I haven't done loads of flops on them. You know, so just keep that in mind, that when you're building your book, you might want to just do your folios first and then build the spine that will go with them in the book that you choose. If you decide to do a hardcover or a soft cover, for the purposes of this, we're doing a soft cover, and I'm keeping it kind of introductory. I'm not going really wild on what I'm doing here. But that being said, that is the first step in creating some flip-flop folios. So what I think I will do is I'll probably create a few more of them off camera. I won't do all of them on camera because there isn't really purpose to. I've shown you one. I don't need to like do it 8 times for you to get the instruction. If I were doing kind of a casual craft with me video, I might do that, but this is more of a hoping you can follow process type video. So that's why I'm choosing not to do that. Although that being said, maybe I'll make another video where I'll do some work on my Patreon live stream or something. Anyways, that is it for this video. I think we accomplished a lot. I should also mention, actually, before I wrap up, why don't we do one more thing? My apologies, the cover. We still need a backing. Let me explain that to you before I run off into the sunshine here, because that will get us a little further too. So let's just sit back down, pick up that tea again, and we're gonna back this now. So I've chosen this fabric. It's gold, like gold splattered. It is Dancing Cranes number 2286 M by Roe Greg for northcott.net. It's 100% cotton. So now what I'm going to do is use my lovely journal here as the guide to the size of the fabric so that I can cut out what I need for this. I'm actually going to start from the bottom because it's easier for me. Now I'd go a little big like I did originally for the other one, because then it gives you just a little space to trim. It's always better to have too much than too little. So just go like a 1/4 inch around. Okay. And there's my leftover scrappy bit that I can use for pockets or some other project. So now what I will do is I will just take glue stick again, go right down the spine, cover the whole envelope. And that's so that we can lay the fabric down neatly on here and it doesn't get all wrinkled up. Then lay it down on the bad side, right? Not on the good side. And then just do a nice flatten. Then I go to the back and I kind of do the same, just smoothing it over. Now I'm going to stitch around the edge of this again, and I'm going to do it from this side. So I'm going to run my machine on this side, not on the back side, because I want to be able to see where my stitches are going to be. Okay, so I'll do that and come back. Stitching is done, and what you'll see is I did 2 rows in the green teal stitching. The outer row was closer to the edge of the 2 fabrics, and why I do that is to trap that envelope on the inside and adhere the 2 pieces of fabric together all the way around. Then I go around all the way, and then I come back, and then I decide to stitch now in between the original set of pink stitches that attached the front fabric to the envelope. and then this outer one that I used for trapping the envelope. And the reason why is because now I've adhered two fabrics together. I also want to adhere this backing fabric to the envelope itself, just like I did with these pink stitches on the front, right? So it's not only specifically adhered to the fabric, but also to the envelope, both sides, then it's not moving around, okay? Now, when you go to trim off the excess, you have another decision to make. Do I like how the back side of this fabric looks, and would I want to keep a bit of it as an edge, like so, or do I want it completely gone, so I'll cut it evenly with the edge like that? I personally think I want to keep a little bit of it here. I don't recommend, I know that people love to fray, but I don't recommend trying to tear at this stage, because what can happen is, because of how we've, cut and glued down this fabric, is that when it's tearing away, it actually can tear right back up to your stitch line in here, and you're going to see some of your, envelope possibly. You could tear into or right past your stitching. So I recommend cutting at this stage. If you want to do some fraying, you can do that by like taking a needle and pulling away at the weft of the fabric, just getting those strings going again, right? Also, over time, just handling this journal, it's going to get a little bit of a fray to it, probably not much, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or less, natural fraying. But yeah, you can certainly bring it on if you want, like taking, like a pokey tool and, just kind of doing this, right? You just kind of, you start some threads, right? And then you can kind of pull at them, and again, you just want to be careful when you're doing that like you don't cause it to rip in to your stitching. So just be a little mindful, and if you're going to fray, do it around the different spots on the journal, go all the way around, grabbing. You can also use like a little seam ripper or a needle even, just to kind of grab at the threads. And then even with this, you can decide, do I just want to leave those on there because I really like a shabby feel, or do I want to, trim them down a little bit, and then I get like this nice kind of bit of fraying, right? So that is the cover now, and I like it. I really think it looks nice. And then on the inside, you now also have the option to stitch in your pockets, which I think I will do because it makes it a little easier to do it at this stage. So what I'm going to do is make them just about the size from one edge of the spine to the outside. Make a little, I didn't make enough of a mark there, but maybe here's good. One pocket, and use that as a guide for the second one. So now you have options with these pockets. You can glue them in or you can stitch them in. If you stitch them in, just be careful, because remember, the front of your journal is done. So you're going to line them up, make them as long or as short as you want. Line them up here, and when you stitch them like, nice and close to this spine. Try to stay close to the stitch lines. So like when you make your pocket, make it wide enough that it's going to be that size from here all the way to here, right? But I think what I also would like to do with these pockets is make them a little decorative. So I'm going to look for a smaller thing that I like the look of for each pocket. Maybe this one, and not that one. It's a little too similar. It could just be something very simple like that, okay? So the first thing I will do with this one is just, we're going to ink it. Obviously you can change the shape too. You can cut it into a different, like a label shape or something like that. You can round it, whatever you like the look of. But these are just like little kind of stamps on the pocket. So let me sort out how I want my pocket to look on this side. So I think here to here, that does what I want. And I want that to go like right there. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch around here. Then on this side, this pocket is going to be a little smaller, I think. I like the scruffy edge it has. And I'm going to fold this down a little bit. And I'll give that this little bit here. Okay, so I'll go stitch these two pockets and I'll be right back. Alright, so they're both stitched on, and what I did was when I folded them over, I did 2 lines of stitching there and then stitched the paper on the back. Now, to put these inside the journal, I'm actually going to glue them in this time. I stitched last time, but I think I just want to glue them in this time. Just because, you know, it shows you there's more than one way to do something that is really good and secure, and it will hold on to your ephemera and it will last. So I'm going to glue this in. I'm using 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac beacon adhesive glue. Very good glue. And just kind of flatten it down. And we'll give this some time to just dry and rest. If you're using a really, really light colored fabric or a really thin fabric, just be mindful to do a test with your glue, because this glue can sort of soak through and make like a wet look stain if you don't have, like, if you're not using like quilting cotton, you know, fabric, like, because that can happen if you're using a vintage fabric or something. So just be mindful with glue. You might want to choose stitching instead, but see, I don't have any of that happening here. This is a very thick fabric, and so is, I mean, the other one's quilting cotton, but this one's even thicker. It's, I'd say, a step down from a canvas. And also I painted it, so like there isn't a lot of risk for me with this. I'll just come in and maybe cut that one thread down a little. But yeah, so here's our cover. It is ready to go. So now I will work away on folios, and we will have this journal in good shape. So next time around, and if you want to prepare ahead of time to kind of work along with me, work on your folios like I showed you, and select papers to go inside your journal for writing space. Unless you want a full-on folio journal, then do that. Be mindful of how thick it is. Build your book around your folios in that case, so that you don't like lose any of the ability to put your journal inside of the cover that you're making, right? So yeah, I'd say work away on those. Select your papers for writing. We're going to use 2 or 3 papers in between and around the folio. So if I check what I put into this book, let me show you the next signature as an example, just because we're kind of sneak peeking at this. So here is the, let me move the wet gluey guy over here. So here is the second signature. So I used one of those large pieces from the magazine. I stitched it down to packaging paper. So that's kind of the decorative front for my folios. So keep in mind when you are doing your signatures, try to find nice big pieces from your magazine that you can do that with. So it's like a piece of stationery or a folio in your signature, or something interesting to go in the inside, like a doily or whatever. Grab those things as well as your writing papers. So I've used a combo of hand-dyed, vintage, interesting kind of little papers, whatever I found around the studio. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 papers in this signature. Okay, so that's just something to think about. That was the size I decided to build it, and when I was making the book I did end up taking a few out because it was too chunky. If you've seen me make books, you know I make a lot of chunky books. I really do get swept up in the process when I'm making a journal. So like it's not untypical for me to make too much for a journal, and then I have to come back and be like, okay, we got to take this down a bit. But this is so nice in the hand. It fits really good. It's a nice little book. A nice chunky, but also like a good feel, you know. So that being said, I will see you next time to kind of put our signatures together, right? And yeah, work away on your folios. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk again very soon. Bye for now.